probably wanted to really go over really quickly what is required to submit on Tuesday. So you're going to submit 3 8.5 by 11 sheets, all combined into one PDF to Canvas. And then you're also going to submit individual sheets to Miro, so you can see the previous, submissions here. Basically, you're going to have 2 types from your conceptual mass that you created in Revit. We talked about that on Tuesday. And then you're going to have 1 Rhino file that you have exported as a DWG and linked into Revit. So you're going to submit to Canvas 2 from Revit and 1 from Rhino. These are some additional credits. So these are BE expectations. You should have typically some good variation between the forms in the type. You can do material if there's, really good variation. The materials, so we'll talk about, how you can apply material parameters and adjust the materials here. So there's a variation there. Pay close attention to correct printing. So I want an 8.5 by 11 without a border on it. We'll talk about that. And then combining your separate PDFs into a single file. Size and location of form on the sheet centered and large enough, so kind of taking up space here. Also, please name your files correctly. There's a request here, to name your files in a particular way right here. Pretty easy. You can name it with the precursor of 1-1 if you want to, and then 1-2 and 1-3. So please do all of that. If we come into Revit, basically, like we talked about before, you're going to create this conceptual mass, right, from the framework. So if I go to wireframe, right, the directions for that are on modules, right? So if you go to the modules, there's the mass tower twist talks about the possibility of the process of making that tower. So here's a series of videos. There's a load into project, which I'm going to show you here. And there's also a thing on mass visibility. These 2 are important to read as well. If I close this guy and we go back to this, there is also down at the bottom, there is actually this A01 mass variation conceptual mass setup is sort of another version of the conceptual mass. If you want to see some different options, like if you click on this, you'll see that it creates kind of a different version using some different commands and options. So you can look at this too if you want to. It's up to you, not required. Just wanted to let you know it was there. And so once you get to the point where you have your conceptual mass, so if I have this conceptual mass, what you're going to do is load it into the project. So you're going to go to File, New, and go to File, New, Project, and go to Browse, and locate the zip file that I gave you, the AO1-1, and open up the generic template. And just click OK here. And it's going to open up a project file. And you're going to go to your site plan. So I'll bring this out. I'm going to double click on site here. And I'm going to close my inactive views up here at the top. And then I'm going to go back to my tower twist. So I have them both open. This is my family. This is my project that I just started from a template. And I'm going to load this into project. So if I load that into project, being in my site plan, it'll turn on the masses, which is what we created. So you're kind of grateful for that. And then you're just going to left click in here at the center and place it. Should say place on work plane here. So make sure it says that, and then left click. Once you've done that, hit escape a couple of times and go to your default 3D view, which is up here in the quick access toolbar. And you should have your mass sitting in the middle here. Once you've got that in there, you can print it. So if you come down to your project browser, you can go to the forms, and that actually has that 3D form view placed on a sheet. So you don't have to do much, you just have to print it. Don't worry about this box, it should go away. And so what you do once you get here is you go to Control P, close that, and then come in, and if you have the Adobe PDF, use it, or use the Microsoft Print to PDF. Both the settings are going to be pretty much the same. If I use the Microsoft Print to PDF, you want to go to the setup, you want to set it to letter, you want to set it to portrait, right? You want to offset it from the corner, zoom 100%. And you want to make sure that hide crop boundaries, hide scope boxes, and hide unreferenced view tags is selected. Okay, so make sure those guys are selected. And then click OK. And then it should be set on current window here. You can preview it. So I'll preview that. Close. Close. And that's what it should look like. Go back to print here and click OK and close and then print it out. So I'll do this guy. And so it will print out your PDF. So that's your first PDF. So then you will double click. So I'm double clicking inside this window, right? It's activating and allowing me to select that form. If I double click outside the window, it puts me in sheet view and I can't select that form. So double clicking activates that view, allows me to pick the form and flip it out for my other type. So I'll flip this out for the 60, right? And double click outside and then Control P again and just repeat that process to print that guy, okay? And then you will do the same thing for the Rhino file, which you will import, and we'll talk about that in class on Tuesday. So once you have those 3 PDFs, you will combine them into one and submit them on Canvas by Sunday at 5, and then you will also place them on Miro individually. So if I go to the Miro board, you can see from the previous assignments, they get placed here. And what I'm looking for are individual 8.5 by 11s without any borders on them, right? So they should look pretty much like these. This one has a border, right? I would prefer not to have that border. So there you go. We'll also talk a little bit about materials. You could do some material variation. That's some extra, but basically that's it. What we want to sort of try not to get it too tiny, right? Like that's quite small. Try to make it fill, you know, the page. So however that works for you, we can sort of talk about that.